22 Business News Market Talk. Let's quickly take a look at some more of Stan Harley's charts, and then we'll get to your phone calls and questions that you have. And I'm hoping the first one we'll take a look at in this segment is the weekly NASDAQ composite. Let's throw up a chart, see which one it is, and get your comments on it, if we can do that.
Well, the next chart is the NASDAQ.
Okay,
what I've shown here are the cycles that average about 9 months in the NASDAQ. As you can see, it got very well extended above its 20-week moving average, higher than it has been in the past. So it's going to be susceptible to a little bit more of a pullback here for the next couple of weeks.
So when you're saying these cycles here, you're saying there's a bottom here, a bottom here,
yes.
a bottom here,
yes.
higher bottoms,
yes.
though here this is the famous double bottom of August, October.
Yes.
And then, so we're seeing down movement here, but how much of a down movement? Or corrected movement in the NASDAQ?
I'd be surprised if we came all the way back to this moving average. Not in the current 19-week cycle, which I see.
Which moving average is that?
This is a 20-week moving average. I think we will come back and tag that in the June-July timeframe. But that's many months away. Between now and then, I'm looking for just modest congestion and then ultimately higher.
All right, NYSE Composite 80 oscillator.
This is the advanced decline oscillator. This measures overbought and oversold conditions. This is a 10-day and 30-day net moving average of advances minus declines. We're getting down into oversold territory, much like we were back in the April through June time period of last year. And the current consolidation structure reminds me a lot of the April through June time period. Back then we bottomed on June 16th. That was a 19-week cycle bottom, and we pushed up into the July top. I see similar dynamics occurring here.
Okay, the next one, Treasury bonds.
T-bonds, this is a monthly chart going back to 1979. This is that 26-month cycle that I talked about. And as you can see, we've come back, we pulled back to the 20-month moving average. I'm looking for back and filling here over the next several months, with the next cycle low in bonds due in June of this year.
All right, next chart is daily bonds.
Daily bonds, here I've got a 1x4 Gann angle projected off the high and the low. We broke down in this area. I would expect these two Gann angles to define the structure going forward with some kind of a snapback here over the next couple of months and then down again, bottoming in June.
Okay, and quickly gold, and then we'll get to the calls.
Gold, quietly basing here. Got a price octave down here at 281.30.
Have you heard it noisily based? All right.
That's the August low. I would expect ultimately cycle bottom here in about 3 months and then push up.
All right. Okay, let's go to the phones here and get viewer calls. Gary, go ahead. Your question for Stan Harley.
Yes, where do you see interest rates in June and then in year-end, please?
Okay, you've got a projection based on the bond market, so where's that going to translate into yield?
I'm looking for bonds to get down in the low 120s. So that could push the yield up to about 5.5%.
Well, that's not far from here. We could do that in a day. We're at 534 right now.
Well, then maybe another quarter, maybe 3/8 higher. I'd be surprised if it went much beyond that.
Okay. John, go ahead.
Yes, I understand you're looking for acceleration into the April period. There's a lot of debate about whether we're peaking now or peaking in April or going to peak in July. Is this sort of the last hurrah before we take the big move down for 98 into 99, or are you still bullish looking out 6 to 12 months? Thank you.
That's a good question. I think after we get the cycle low here in a couple of weeks, the market will move higher into the October timeframe. My target still remains Dow 10,000 plus or minus about 156 points. I think once we get up to the 10,000 area, that's going to be a glass ceiling that could last for some period of time.
Put it in S&P and NASDAQ terms, because the Dow has been underperforming those averages.
We put the S&P up into the 1,300 region, low to mid 1,300s. And 10,000 is going to be an important barrier, just like 1,000 was back between 1962 and 1983.
That's not that much higher from here.
That's not that much higher here. And with the S&P PE ratio at 33.6, I think it's reflective of the fact that we are just a little bit overextended, and we're going to have to take some time up here to work off the excesses.
All right, let's go to Ed. Your question for Stan.
Yes, I wondered if gold and silver follow the same cycle or if he has two different cycles for them.
The metals do not have the same cyclical schedule as the Dow and the S&P.
Yeah, but gold and silver have the same cycles.
Gold and silver and the XAU all work in tandem, yes.
Oh, so the metals all work together?
They do indeed, yes. I found there's a primary cycle that averages about 17 weeks in the metals. And additionally, the XAU has its own 39-week cycle that does not necessarily coincide with the S&Ps. But about every 9 months, you see a major cycle low in the XAU index as well.
All right, Nick, go ahead.
Yes, my question is to you, Stan, is that I've heard from many chaps, 2004, we're going to see the Dow at 16,000 plus. What do you think?
2004, 16,000 plus on the Dow? Looking way out, what do you think?
That's way out.
Well, that's not way. That's 5 years.
5 years. I think we're going to have some trouble getting through the 10,000 area. I think 10,000-ish, plus or minus several hundred points on either side, could be a significant area of resistance for quite some time, just like 1,000 was between 1962 and 1983. We'll need to see the type of divergences that exist once we get up there, but it's going to take some time to get the market higher beyond the 10,000-ish area.
All right, Stan, thanks for joining us. #1 market timer and Timer Digest, Stan Harley of the Harley Market Letter out of Camarillo. Coming up next, Wendy Katz with the market wrap-up, Frank Barbera with Chart Watch. Stay tuned to 22 Business News.